Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Martin, and today I'm going to show you how to use a resource called Worldbook Student. Last week, I introduced Worldbook Kids, and that has allowed us to get a basic introduction to the kids section of Worldbook. A lot of the things that I showed you last week, you're going to notice similarities in Worldbook Student this week. But the main difference between Worldbook Kids and Worldbook Student has to do with the difficulty of the text. In Worldbook Student, you're going to find that the text is more challenging and difficult to read. And because of that, I usually save showing students how to use Worldbook Student until probably about the second half of third grade, which we're in now, or when you're in fourth grade. It is definitely a resource that you will use when you move on to middle school. So we're going to start by showing how to access Worldbook Student. You might remember with many of the resources I've been showing you that there are two ways to access them. The first way to access would be to go to the library webpage from our Hoover webpage. Seems to be taking a minute to load there. And then from here, we would click on the databases link. And Worldbook Kids is right in the middle, and you can see the username and password listed there. If you go in and access Worldbook Student or Kids through this point, you have to enter in the username and password, which is why I really prefer, we're going to go back a couple screens here, to use Clever instead, because Clever allows us to skip over the username and password part. It already knows that we're part of the Kenton school system. It remembers us, and therefore we can just get right into Worldbook Student without using the username and password. So I'm going to scroll down a bit until I get to the shortcuts section of our webpage and click on Clever. All right. You won't have that screen that I just had. I only see that because I'm a teacher. Things seem to be working a little slower today, so bear with us. All right. When I scroll down on my Clever page to library resources, you should see the icon for Worldbook Online. And when I click on that, Clever thinks for a bit. Like I said, it seems to be thinking for a little longer than normal. And it brings us to the main Worldbook menu, where you're going to see the option for Worldbook Kids. That's with the picture of the balloon. That's what we did last week. And then right next door to it is the icon for Worldbook Student with the picture of the pencil. So I'm going to click on the Worldbook Student button today. And I want to take a second to just explore the main page. Right in the middle of the page, you're going to see a search box. There's actually a button where you can even speak your search into the search box. There's something called advanced search, which I'm not going to really go into. I don't think that we need the advanced search options in third and fourth grade, but you are welcome to explore that on your own. And then if you scroll down a bit, you'll see some other things that Worldbook thinks, wants to highlight on their main page. So some quick links. I think in particular, sometimes this maps and atlas can be important, especially if you're looking to locate a place or if you're looking to print out a map of a country or a state. And then down below that, there's a section for current events. So there, the anniversary of VE Day, 75th anniversary, gives us some information about a giant sea monster that was spotted in Australia. That piques my curiosity. Below that, there's a biography center where we can learn about different people, famous people throughout history. Something they've linked called featured media, which is where they are going to be sharing a lot of their video offerings. And that actually takes us to the bottom of the page. This main page, they do make some changes day to day, especially with the current events. Often what I'm coming to do is search for a very specific topic. So I can actually come up to the top here and I'm going to type in my topic. With databases like World Book, Kids or Student, Britannica School, and Pebble Go, our search terms are going to just be keywords. We're not going to ask it a specific question. We're just looking for an article all about our topic. And today I've chosen hurricane to be our topic. And it actually gives you some suggestions. So if I meant just general hurricane, but then it gives us names of some specific hurricanes that were, well, famous isn't, I guess famous is what they are, famous for being so destructive. I'm not, at this point, I'm not interested in any specific hurricanes. I'm mostly interested in learning all about hurricanes generally, what they are, how they form, how dangerous they are, etc. So I'm going to click on hurricane. Okay. And in this case, it dropped me right into the main article about hurricane. I think that's because I clicked, let me just go back 1 second to be clear. Because I clicked where it says hurricane, it took me right into that article. If I clicked the search button to the right here, it would bring me to a list of results. So I want to show you what that looks like too. This is the list of results, and the main article about hurricanes appears at the top, gives you a little preview of some of the different diagrams and graphics that are going to be in the article. It also breaks up the results on the left-hand side. There are 127 encyclopedia articles that either are about or mention hurricanes. There's 307 items listed as back in time. And I'm not exactly sure what that is. That's new. So we'd have to go in and explore a little bit about that. I'm curious. Let's take a look. Okay, back in time. So it's looking back at different, in this case, weather events, hurricanes that happened in the past. Very interesting. There are 3 historical maps, 5 maps, 18 images, 2 special reports, 24 tables, and you can look down through the rest. You could click on any one of these topics to learn more about them. But I had mentioned I wanted to go right into the hurricane article at the top, so that's what I'm going to do. And it's taken me right into the main text of the article here. So there are a couple of things here that I think are important for us to notice in order to help make our experience in World Book Student easier. On the left side here, there's what I would call a table of contents. It just sort of breaks down the different headings that you're going to find in this article. And if you were specifically looking, especially when you're when you're not right at the beginning of your research project, but if you're somewhere in the middle or the second half, you might have some gaps in your knowledge where maybe you really just need to understand the damage a hurricane creates. You could, instead of reading the entire article, you could click right on hurricane damage and it would take you to the spot in the article that focuses on that. So I like this table of contents for that reason. I also like to look at it to see as a preview everything that's included in the article. And I always look at that before I start my reading. Just gonna scroll up here to the top. You might have noticed one of the biggest differences between the kids and student version is the student version is much more complex. The text is more complex. It's also a much longer and thorough article about the topic. That's the big difference. Some of the similarities are that when you're in the article, if there's a word you don't know, any word, you can double click on it and it will take you to the dictionary where it will define it for you. That's a really nice feature in both kids and student. The other thing that's nice is that it will read the text aloud to you by clicking on the ear button right towards the top of it. Now, if you don't like that voice, you can change the voice. You can make it a female voice or a male voice. It can go slower or faster. You can change it to an Australian accent or a British accent. Those are just some features that are available to us. I really like that read aloud feature. All right, the other thing up at the top here, the settings feature. There are a couple things here that I think are helpful for students. One, down about towards the end of the list, is the translate option. For our students whose first language is not English, this translate option is excellent for taking the text of the article and turning it into whatever language is your first language. So if you look at the list, there's quite a selection here that could be helpful for many of our students. Oops, I want to go back. Let's go back to the wheel, the settings wheel. The other thing that I thought was helpful was the text size. If you want the text size larger, you can make it larger. And sometimes that's nice, depending on what kind of a device we're reading on. Lastly, over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see a lot of the media, different media pop up. Videos. This is a sound clip of what a hurricane wind sounds like. Let's see if we scroll down a little bit farther. We're going to see some pictures from recent hurricanes like Hurricane Sandy, some diagrams. Any of these diagrams and pictures and videos, you can click on them and it'll take you to a second screen where it'll give you more information. A larger picture of the diagram and a description of what is in the diagram or the video or a caption to the photograph. I'm going to click out of this. If I wanted to go back to the main page for Worldbook, I could click up here at the top where it says Worldbook Student. If I wanted to go back to the results list, I would click on the arrow to the left. Ooh, actually, no, that's not accurate. That took me back to my diagram. Well, that's interesting. That's another place where it shows you the different chapters for the table of contents. Well, if we did want to go back to the results, what if we click on related? Okay, when we clicked on related, it gave us some other choices that were listed under the results, the original results. So I could look more specifically at different hurricane names if I want specific hurricanes that happened throughout history. Clicking up at the top will take me back to the main page of Worldbook Student, and it looks like the graphic has also changed. That's a really neat graphic now. Under the sea, it looks like. All right, boys and girls, I hope that you found this video tutorial on Worldbook Student helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have or help you in any way that I can. I hope that you have a chance to come back to Worldbook Student and explore on your own. It's a great resource, even though it's a little bit more challenging. I know that all of my students are up for a challenge. All right, friends, take care. I'll talk to you soon.